Hey there, Dave Paulides, Canammissing Project, copyrighted edition for our video page. And we're on scene, and we are in an epic location. Hiked in about 3 miles to get to this point, and we're on a tributary to the Koocanusa Lake in far northwest Montana. And behind me, you can see it is gorgeous. But what I'm going to show you in a few minutes will just cause your head to spin. In the Pacific Northwest, people are used to seeing salmon runs coming out of the Pacific Ocean going up the local rivers and lakes. Local rivers, creeks, etc. We're here in Montana. We have our own salmon run that comes from the lake and goes up the tributaries to the lake. And these salmon are called Kokanee Salmon. And the interesting thing about the Kokanee, I'm going to just have you ready to have a good look at what we're seeing here. The Kokanee can run anywhere you're seeing them right there in the creek. To give you a little information, the Kokanee is a landlocked version of a sockeye. They were first introduced in Montana in Flathead Lake in 1914 and are currently pretty widely spread in the western half of the state on both sides of the Continental Divide. Kokanee can reach sizes from 3 to 5 pounds, but 1-pounders are the most common. The size of the Kokanee in Montana is a function of two factors: known population density and the abundance of the available food. They are strictly plankton feeders and they can rapidly overpopulate, resulting in large numbers of stunted fish. Kokanee spawn naturally in many Montana waters. They either run upstream from their lake habitat or spawn along the lake shorelines in the fall. Most Kokanee reach sexual maturity in their 4th year of life, and then they undergo a dramatic transformation prior to spawning. They're normally very silvery in color, and the specimen seems to become a smooth-skinned, red-colored spawning fish with large hooked jaw and the teeth of males. All of the adults die after spawning, making for a tremendous food source for bald eagles, grizzly bears, and other animals. Now, what was interesting is that on the way up here, I saw a couple of huge piles of bear scat. So I'm moving very cautiously. Also, I'm going to show you something else. Right next to the bear scat, found this. This is a part of a deer. And obviously, some predator ate it and made a meal of it. Here's the vertebrae right here. And this is what you see in Montana as you're just trolling along creeks and valleys and things. Kind of weird, but that's part of nature. And the scat piles I saw were scary. If they were nearby, I'd just take you to them and show them to you. But so I'm going to move a little bit here so you get a better view. Now, a lot of the Kokanee will sit right near logs and things in an attempt to conceal themselves. And they move around a lot. They're beautiful fish. Come back around. There's tens of thousands of these. in this river right now. Now, one thing I'm going to explain to you is there's a lot of people here right now. I mean, they all hiked in miles and they brought their family in some places to do this. And what I'm going to explain is not normal in fishing in Montana. But because kokanee has a special distinction of not being a very treasured fish, what people do, and it's completely legal, is they snag fish. This is what they use. They use a big treble hook like this with a weight, and then they tie a pink or red ribbon around it at the base like this. You draw, after it's tied on, you throw it out in the water on a rod. The fish get attracted to the red or the pink. The fish come close, and then they jerk hard, and you get a fish on the line. You throw it on the bank. Now, right behind me, there's an entire family here. Everybody's snagging fish. Everybody's putting the kokanee in a bucket, and a lot of people make it a family thing. Not that unusual at all. So I'll walk you down the river a little bit, let you see what it's like. These are all fish right here. All the way into the sandbar. See, somebody left their pink line in the water. They're all fish. Tens of thousands of them. It's amazing. Some of these areas that we're in are so thick in fish that the water has turned black. Every once in a while the fish will jump. And what's going on is that as a female goes into a gravel area, try to get a good look at him right here. As the female goes into the gravel area, they'll rub the gravel, dig a bit of a hole, lay their eggs, fluff it back over with gravel just slightly. A male will come over, deposit the sperm, fluff it over some more, and then the male will stay on that site, protecting it from other predatory fish. And you say, well, hey, what other fish are in here? Well, the biggest predatory fish we have in these waters are bull trout. And bull trout are, I love them, because they are the greatest fighting fish that we have, I think, here in Montana. And they're very difficult to catch. You can only catch them in specific waters, in specific times. And in some waters, you can't even catch them at all. I was here the other day scouting for this filming, and I saw a guy accidentally catch a bull trout. They get to be huge. They get to be like 5-10 pounds. Bull trout are also called Dolly Varden in some areas. And the truth is that you let the fish go right away because it's protected in these waters. But in some lakes you can go. You can see how the fish will almost be predatory and go up and bump the side of other fish just to keep them away from their nesting area. Now you say, well, why in the fall? Why would Mother Nature give us this fall run? Well, usually in the fall, the water is at the lowest point. And so the eggs are going to be protected. They put them in the gravel at low water in this area. It's not going to really get any lower between now and it starts raining, and it already has started to rain here. The other day I was here and it was raining. So the eggs are going to have time to incubate and hatch. And the small ones are going to have time to get back and eventually get to the lake and become full-size kokanee. Now, in the article I read to you, the size of the kokanee is dependent upon a lot of factors, one of them being the food supply and the number of fish. There are so many kokanee, and there's so little food production in these areas, these fish don't get very large. That's not to say, I've seen them up to 12 to 14 inches here, but that would be about it. Now, as they spawn and they get older, in days, hours older, what happens is they'll move close to the shore, like right in here, and they'll start to change into a dark, dark color, and they're dying. It's just part of the transformation. And as you walk along the shore, I'll see a lot of deceased fish that have spawned out, and they're gone. And that's just the circle of life. The ones that are out here in the middle, still fighting for spawning grounds, still protecting, still fighting it out amongst themselves. That's part of life. I mean, I could honestly sit here for hours and watch these fish and their mannerisms. A little close right here, you can see the brightness is determined really by how long they've been in this water and if they've spawned or not. That's kind of the interesting part of this. And again, those dark ones that you see, they've already spawned, and as they start to turn white, they are dying. The bright orange ones, they haven't quite spawned out yet. Some of the males are looking for good breeding ground, lay their sperm. Now, if you hear people around me, there's a family not far from where I'm at right now. These waters are gorgeous. Walk you down a little bit more. Fish are smart. When I walk out into the water, they'll migrate away. You kind of watch this. See them all kind of push away a bit. Sometimes they'll move onto their side and they'll ruffle the gravel a bit. By moving on that side and fluffing the gravel, they're making that little hole that they can breathe in. It's magical. It's amazing the way nature works. I remember the first time I saw this in the Pacific Northwest. I was in Washington. I actually was sad. I was up near Olympic National Park. I was a young adult, and I saw the eagles. There were dozens of them along the shores, munching on dead salmon and making a meal. And as I told you in the article here, the grizzly bear also, black bear also come in here and eat this. So it is a food source, and it goes up the chain. But I can remember thinking, wow, how sad. These fish work so hard, because some of the salmon and steelhead go up thousands of miles of river to get to a place to spawn. And one of the more interesting things about all this is that these salmon, these kokanee, they know internally where they were born. There's hundreds of tributaries to this lake. But these fish know exactly which tributary they were born on, and they go back to that tributary. That is what is fascinating. What is the internal mechanism that allows them to understand where exactly to go? The water here is crystal clear. Well, I don't want people to get bored, but if you're like me, like I said, I could probably give you hundreds of hours of footage of this and just put on some good music and watch it. Got this log in the water right here. There's all kinds of them huddling up, watching. What the sides around me look like, really thick woods. It's kind of scary sometimes walking around these things by yourself. I'm by myself today. There are a lot of people around, but the truth of the matter is, going back and forth, I got one hand on my gun and one hand on the camera. The average size of these kokanee, I would say, run anywhere from 5 inches. I've seen some 12, 14 inches. That's the biggest I've seen, and I've spent a lot of time in here, so these fish don't get very good. Most people, what they do with them is they get them, put them in a bucket, take them home, and then smoke them. And there's not a lot of meat on the fish, but when you smoke them, if you've never had smoked salmon, it's a delicacy in my mind. I like to put them over salads and things, and put them on a sandwich with some spreadable cheese. A lot of different ways to eat them, but wow, they're super good. It'll take a lot of these to make a good sandwich. But go back on the full river view here. So anyhow, I hope you appreciated the walk out here. Take a look at the kokanee and their trip up the creek. It's to me, this is why I am here in Montana. It was about an hour and a half drive from my house, but it was all beautiful. And it was about a 45-minute hike into here. And to me, it's worth it. So I have the opportunity to share this with the world. Our natural resources are the most important thing we have as a country, that and our people. And we have to preserve these. And we have to appreciate them. If you get a chance, and you can go to the Pacific Northwest. It's in Northern California, all over Oregon and Washington during the fall when it starts to rain and the creeks go up. The steelhead are an ocean run type of trout. And the salmon, they run up rivers and creeks. It's just, imagine a fish 10 times larger than what you're looking at here in these rivers, or this creek. And they make a trip of a lifetime. their last trip of a lifetime. And all of these fish you're looking at are eventually going to die. So the people that are snagging them and taking them for a meal, I don't see any harm in that. And either does Fish and Game, which is why they allow it. So please give this segment a thumbs up if you like it. I'll try to do more of these kind of on-scene locations. Please pass it along. Let your friends, allow them to see what nature has to offer. And support us. The only way right now you can really support us is watching our movies, watching our videos, and buying our books on our website. Do not buy them on Amazon or anywhere else online. Website for missing people is canammissing.com. That's like Canadian, like can Canadian, am American, missing.com, canammissing.com. And remember, we have about 150 videos right now online that you can peruse and watch at your leisure. Magical. Magical. I'll give you a few more scans before I check out. All those little orange blurbs you see, Kokanee. Go back up to the log here, and there's some interesting sights right now. There's some real bright fish in there. And further up you can see the ones that are ready to pass on. This is the way it is for miles and miles upriver. They have no problem getting over these falls. Said, right here in the middle, and sit there and wait for a mate to come along and start to spawn. The circle of life, my friends. Thanks for joining me. Love Mother Nature. We're blessed to have her here. Have a great week.